Hey.
Welcome back to the nurse's office.
Yeah. So we were a good boy. We told the truth.
Yeah, we did. And the nurse says, that should be enough then. The main thing to keep in mind is to do regular low-stress exercise, not short bursts of sprinting and such. I understand. Since leaving the hospital, I've been a lot more focused on my studies.
Nerd.
Partly to take my mind off not being able to do more physical things. Nerd. Well, it was good to hear you're coping well. Sudden lifestyle changes can be hard at the best of times, so I'm pleased to hear that you sound like you have everything in order. Almost everything, that is. Nevertheless, I want to keep a close eye on you for a while, just for observation's sake. Just to make sure things aren't going downhill, you understand. That's something I really didn't want to hear. Since coming to Yamaku, all I've wanted to do is live as normal a life as possible. Observation was one of the words I came to hate most during my hospital stay. For so long, I felt as if I could have just walked straight out the hospital doors, if not for that observation the doctors wanted so dearly.
It's good for you. Fucking relax.
Yeah. Sure. Should I come in more often? He checks the calendar next to his computer, which seems to inflict on him a nasty case of furrowed brow. He spins back towards me after that. The summer holidays are a bit of a pain, considering the timing. I've just realised I've given this guy the same voice that my dentist has.
Ha!
It was a complete accident, but that's how he sounds.
Yeah.
I'll check with your doctor to try and get a better handle on the situation and see how he wants to proceed. But I think you should just take things slowly and carefully for now. What you're describing doesn't immediately sound like a recurring event, but it won't hurt to slow down a bit for a while just to make sure. What should I do for today? He looks over my shoulder, a clock hanging over the door. I'd never have noticed it if I hadn't followed his gaze. That's a very, doctor move, or, therapist, counsellor move, is to have the clock somewhere that you, the professional, can see it, but whoever's with you can't, sort of thing. My brief experience with counselling, that was usually how it was. I would see the clock going in, but as soon as I sat down, I was facing the other way. So, yeah. I mean, in a way, it was probably better because it meant that I wasn't so focused on, how much time am I taking up? I could just sit and talk.
Yeah.
So, it's good. Anyway, it's nearly time for school to be over, so you may as well just leave early. Oh, nice. He gives me a sly wink, making sure that I understand he's doing me a favour. He could do you another favour and give you some fucking rubbers. Well, nurse's orders. Thanks.
Well, I mean, if she's on the contraceptive pill, then it's fine.
I suppose.
You know. Did you know that they're working on it's weird. It's like a little shoulder rub. So it's for men, right? So you it's like a little ointment. You rub it on your shoulders, and then that's it.
All right.
And it's
What does it do?
It stops you getting women pregnant.
Okay.
It doesn't sterilize you.
No.
Permanently.
It's just for a bit. Just for a little while.
Just for a little while, yeah. So there you go.
On your shoulders. That doesn't. Okay.
I don't know. They did try a pill, but they stopped working on it because a bunch of men became sterile after it. And got horrible side effects like depression and things like that, which is funny because that's kind of the symptoms, the side effects of the contraceptive pill that women have.
I was literally just about to say that, yeah.
You know, it's a pill that really hasn't changed much since the 1960s.
No. Still has lots of weird, horrible side effects.
Yeah, man. Babe, for some people it works, for some people it doesn't work.
Yeah, some people, it kind of fucks them up a bit.
Yeah. But anyway. Nurse's orders, thanks.
That's what I'm here for, after all. I know you might not want to hear this, but you can't ignore your condition. Don't hesitate to ask me if you have any further problems, or if you just have anything you want to ask. Bye. See ya. He spins around and gets back to typing on the computer in front of him. I suppose I'll just read before waiting for Lilly by the gate, considering I don't have much else to do. Even as I leave, his words echo in my mind. My condition isn't something as limiting as many of the others here in Yamaku. I don't want to burden Lilly without thinking about it. Or with thinking about it, rather. If I just live life normally and avoid any short, sharp shocks, I should be okay. I won't let my condition rule me.
No, yeah. I mean, the way I would go about it is just like, this is a thing that you have to deal with, and you just accept it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way to go about things. It's like, if there's something that's really hard, it's messing you up, the best way to deal with it is just to straight up just like, well, okay, well, that's a part of my life now, you know? And then you make that part of your normal life, rather than being like, I'm going to live a normal life and not let this thing rule me. It's just like, no, just accept it. Accept it.
Yep.
There's some advice from...
I have a feeling that's going to be part of the conversation that follows. Lilly comes into view soon after the bells heralding the end of the school day ring out. She says farewell to a number of her classmates headed in the other direction, before beginning her weekly trip to the convenience store. Afternoon, Lilly. The immediate warm smile and relaxed demeanour she assumes upon noticing my presence are unexpectedly welcome.
Hello, Hisao. Good afternoon to you too.
She hesitates for a second, but eventually deigns to tilt her face forward and close her eyes. My lips meet hers with a measure of slight trepidation before we move off, hand in hand.
Aww.
Cute. The fact that we're so close in height is somewhat useful at times, there being no need for either of us to turn our head upwards nor downwards in order to meet the others. This is what you were talking about last episode.
Exactly.
It doesn't take... Yeah, it's easy. It doesn't take much time to leave the noise of the other students far behind us, the tapping of Lilly's cane in her free hand the only sound to be heard. Silence. Blissful silence is all that greets us while we slowly walk in the setting sun's light. I think I'm coming to really like this town. The huge green hilly expanse, the trees everywhere, the somewhat rustic little buildings. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
So, you've come to appreciate the tranquility of it as well. Yeah, man,
Hell
countryside's the best.
The best.
I think so. I came from a metropolitan city near Tokyo, so the quiet of this town really alienated me when I first arrived. After a while, it became really nice, though. I think I prefer it to the hustle and bustle of my home city now.
Well, I preferred the quiet of such a rural town even when I first arrived. I suppose I had the advantage of growing up in a quiet area before I came. Yeah, I grew up in a very quiet area where all the kids were racist.
Yay!
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 We love it.
Oh,
we love this.
You gotta love it. I've not told this story on the show before, I don't think. First day at a new school, right? Obviously, rumor mill starts, and people hear, oh, there's a new kid coming. Oh, he's from X place. He's foreign. This guy comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you! Go back to China, you fucking packy." And I was just like, I had just gotten fluent with the English language. I was just like, okay. China. I didn't know what a packy was.
No. No.
And thinking back on it, I'm just like, this kid just took like two things. Foreign country, derogatory word that his dad was probably said, in the house, put them together.
Decided to like make a horrible Lego creature out of it. Yeah, just like, here's something horrible to say. Off you go.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you're actually from or anything like that. Let's be racist and horrible.
It was just bizarre because I'm like, and I've spoken about this before. It just threw me through a loop because I'm like, I'm as white as any of you.
Yeah.
Like there's pictures of me in with my cousins, right? And I look like fucking Snow White. I'm like, I look fucking boiled potatoes white, man. So
fucking cauliflower cheese white.
Yeah, mate, like seriously. And then I come here to and it's just like, it's crazy. The thing that threw me for a loop was just white people being racist against white people. I'm like,
oh man, they do it all the time. We all do it.
Yeah.
You know, like the big thing in our school, our primary school rather, was like sectarianism, basically, which is a brand of white on white racism.
Yeah, I mean, like there was
these
a bit...
guys love God in a slightly different way, therefore we must hate them. It's like, what?
And here's the thing as well. Those people are like, it's just a brand. It's like it's just like folk Protestantism and folk Catholicism. They just like, they don't even know what they're talking about. You know,
most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time,
we certainly didn't know what anybody was talking about because we were 10, 11 years old, and our head teacher just came in one day and she was like, "You guys have been displaying sectarian behavior, so we're going to teach you all about it to make sure that you don't do it." And we were like, "What the hell did we do?" And then proceeded to read a book about like, you know, there was no evidence in our minds that we'd done anything particularly wrong or anything. Like,
actually,
I'll get into the specifics at some point, but not now.
Here's a funny story, actually. So that same boy who called me, who called me a packy and said I should go back to China.
He said horrible things.
He said absolutely horrible things. He kept doing it, and one day I was just down in the dumps, and one of the teachers was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I told them. And she was like, "Okay, bring him in." And this boy had like loads of freckles on his face as well. And she just straight up, she just looked at him and went, "Listen here, look at his face, look at your face. You're covered in freckles. You're technically browner than he is, so shut up." And I was like,
What? That's not what you expect from the teacher.
Calling him yeah, it was bizarre.
Hey man, you're browner than this guy is. Shut up. Right? Not quite sure that's the way to deal with it, but
I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah.
It's just so confusing.
Yes.
Anyway.
I mean, I think for us, the sectarian thing started because we were playing a different school that weren't a different school came to our school one day for some event or whatever, and at lunchtime we were playing them at football, and we won like at the very last minute or whatever, and we were all having a celebration, and then like 2 days later we all got called up, and it was like, "You guys are sectarian, you shouldn't be." And we were just kind of like, "All right, if you say so." I guess.
What was it that you were saying?
No evidence for that. Nothing. I mean, I personally wasn't saying anything. Like, you know, I wasn't playing football, but I don't know. Maybe there was some kind of stuff going on, but I mean, I doubt it.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant about.
That was a bit of a tangent.
Scottish primary schools, but there you go.
Yep. There you go.
Hanako said the surroundings are very pretty too.
That's how we got onto it, because all of our surroundings in our primary schools were very nice. Lilly may say such a thing quite easily, but each time she mentions how others describe sights around her as beautiful or pretty, I feel a little put off. I notice her expression becoming one of anticipation for some question or another. She always has a good sense for when somebody is not saying something that's on their mind, so I may as well speak up.
I was kind of wondering, how to put this. Do you ever regret that you can't see what things look like for yourself? It's just something I've been thinking about.
She thinks carefully for a time.
Do you ever regret that you can't hear people whispering on the other side of a room?
Oh.
I can only speak for myself, but the fact that I can't see is the only way I've experienced life. Just as I cannot do something you can't do something that I'm capable of. Ooh, wisdom. Such wisdom.
Yeah.
The fact that the world is made for those who are sighted can be a pain sometimes, but there are many, many people who suffer much more than I because of the way the world is. Hell yeah.
Whoa.
Preach.
Well, that does make sense, but still, it just feels kind of bad to describe something that you can't experience, do you?
She tilts her head quizzically, as if I'd just said something that makes very little sense at all.
Well, she is kind of experiencing it. in a way. It's just secondhand, you know? Like
just not in the same way.
Like when you're watching this Let's Play, sure, you're not played the game yourself. You're experiencing the game though. It's just secondhand experience, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can experience it, yeah.
You just took the words right out of our mouth.
Yeah, you just said yourself that you like this area because of the way the surroundings are. I like this area for the very same reason.
Yep.
Thanks to the fact that this is a small rustic town surrounded by trees, it gives some peace and quiet away from the din at school and the bustle, not to mention the smells of the city. Yeah, cities smell like shit.
Oh yeah. Cities are very, very noisy as well. Like, even I'm not that close to the city at the moment, but I went for a walk not long ago and you could hear like the hum of Glasgow off in the distance.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
I mean, like, I'm in a pretty quiet part of Glasgow, but like,
you're still quite central. Like,
I'm still
or you're kind of at that kind of crossover bit, you know. You're at that little weird, like, I suppose it would also be much like the home she shared with Akira as well. Her outlook on it seems pretty sensible, and I'm not surprised that she's got a much better handle on her particular condition than I do on mine. Just like how her coming from a location somewhat similar to Yamaku's surroundings let her become more acclimatized in a shorter time, being born blind affected her stance by her own admission. I should stop being so annoyed with myself over it. I can't shake the feeling that I've depended on Lilly far too much, given the circumstances most have had to deal with in Yamaku. Maybe just a bit.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Like, there's so much, all the wisdom. This game is teasing out all my wisdom.
I know.
It's weird.
It does that, particularly this late in the game, because like at the start of it, it's just Isao being like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," blah blah blah. But like by the time you get to the end of it, I think regardless of what path you're going down, there's all sorts of just existential stuff that you're like, "Whoa!"
Like any relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship or it's just a friendly, platonic relationship or a brotherly relationship, don't feel like it's a two-way street. You all need to lean on each other all the time. It's not one or the other, you know. It's kind of, you do end up balancing it out. So don't feel like you are being a burden to somebody. Yeah.
Just remember that we are all each other as well as ourselves.
Yeah. There's a oneness to humanity. You know.
Yes.
Anyway.
That's just what Jesus said, sir. That makes a lot of sense.
It's true, yeah.
It is, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. You're pretty good at explaining, as always. Come to think of it, where is Hanako anyway? She was with us for lunch.
She's probably studying.
It seems she's busy studying. The exams are far from over, and she said she wants to do better this year than the last.
Well, I admire her work ethic. She's really been trying to give us a lot of room alone recently.
She's that type of person, I think. The kind that puts each other's needs above her own at every chance. She's a sweet girl, even though so much has hurt her in the past. I really struggled to read that.
She doesn't really want a third wheel.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's only now, when she's less close to me than ever, that she's truly finding herself.
I guess
thanks to you that she began to become more confident after all, not me. Yeah, I suppose we had a hand in that.
Yeah. I take my hand from hers and gently place it on her head.
The important thing is that you were there for her. I can't even imagine what she'd be like without having found someone like you. That much became obvious while you were in Scotland. We're all still friends, so we've just got to have faith in her. I think she'll become a good person, and that much is thanks to you being there for her when she most needed it, just as you were there for me.
This is just nice.
We're having the DMCs today.
It makes me feel a bit childish when you sound so wise. Mate, this game is just making me want to sound wise.
Well, I try.
I don't know if it's the cool music or the soothing atmosphere or maybe just the anime people, but it's the wisdom.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything on the weekend by any chance?
Nothing that comes to mind. Why?
Then how about a date on Sunday? It'd be something to do besides exam preparation.
Why Sunday? Why not Saturday?
They have school on Saturday.
Oh, well, they have school on Monday too.
Yeah, it's longer. I think it's kind of like I think Saturday's like a half day.
Yeah, so, okay, let's not get it. It doesn't matter. Countering my rapidly beating heart, she simply smiles and nods.
That would be lovely.
Where would you like to go?
Her face suddenly changes to one of disapproval. Disapproval?
You can't do that, Hisao. That's cheating.
Oh! It's not cheating to ask you where you want to go. It's a simple question.
It's
Just
like
answer
that.
it.
It's like what's the name of the film? Is it a Notebook? That one scene where it's like, "What do you want? What do you want?"
Maybe.
I don't
I've
know.
not seen the
Anyway, it's been memed to fuck.
It's not that one, the new memes with Adam Driver where he's like slapping the wall. Is it?
No. The one that
Okay.
I can think of with Adam Driver is the one where he's Kylo Ren. It's the more. That one. I'll send you the video I'm thinking about. Actually, it's really fucking funny. Yeah. I'll send it to you after this.
Do what?
A gentleman should never ask a lady where to have a date.
Well, what if the gentleman winds up taking the lady somewhere shit that she doesn't enjoy because she wouldn't tell him where she wanted to go? Hmm?
I thought we'd go to this whiskey bar because you're Scottish and Scottish people like whiskey. Is that right? I thought we'd go to this Irish pub because like Irish people and Scottish people are like the same, right? Y'all are ginger and alcoholic, right?
I thought we'd go to the grocery store because I know that you like groceries.
You know, it's a fairly valid question. Where do you want to go?
I thought we'd go to the strip club because then you can have a nice meal and I can have a nice time.
You gotta buy 2 drinks though, otherwise we can't stay.
Her smile quickly comes back, assuring me that she's far from serious. Well, that's good.
Don't worry about it. I'll think about where we could go.
Oh, so she was just having us on. Right.
She was.
Well, I'll leave it to you then. I promise to decide on the next date though.
That's a good way to do it. Turning
Yeah.
about. With our plans for the weekend made, the rest of the walk down the hill continues in silence.
Mm.
The prospect of that lasting for any length of time, though, is shattered as I catch sight of a familiar figure waiting for us, her hand held high. It was not written in.
Oh.
Take a guess. Who is it?
Yo.
Yo! Yo!
Thank you. Please come again.
It was a long walk to the convenience store. We wound up in Yorkshire. The change in temperature as I step outside from the convenience store sends a chill up my spine. It feels like summer's starting to wind down. Looking to my side, the same feeling seems to affect Lilly as well. Though unlike me, she doesn't manage to hide the fact. Something I didn't realise at first was how physically delicate she is, even compared to the likes of Hanako. If I had to describe her, I'd say that she reminds me of a China doll.
I'm pretty sure it's a David Bowie song called China Doll. Or China Girl or something.
Akira walks up behind her and gives a couple of hard pats on her shoulder, much to Lily's consternation. For a moment, she looks as envious of my status as an only child as I am of their close relationship.
Oh.
I don't know much about it. I mean, I know a lot about it, but not much about it. They talk between themselves for a few moments as I sort out my bags. Their voice is too low for me to catch. But eventually they break off, and we begin the walk back to school.
It feels good to be out of that damned office. You kids don't know how good you have it here. Kids. TSCH. You do that.
For goodness sake. There is a way to pronounce that, Julian. You know fine well what it is. Or do you? Yeah, it's more like it's like a little scoff.
You do then. Kids grow up fast nowadays. Sorry, I was struggled.
No, it's okay. Mate, I thought that I was wrong to assume. I'm doing that a lot these days. It's just assuming things. I was wrong to assume that you would just know how to read it.
I struggle. I mean, like, I know what it means, but I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to pronounce that.
Sorry about that.
Fun fact. So in the before times, I used to do this job where I gave out graduation gowns to people, and on the graduation gown, you've seen me do it, because I'm pretty sure I gave your sister her. Robin Hood.
Yeah. You were there certainly. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like a wee ticket on the inside with the person's name and height, whatever. It's like a sort of return thing. So like you take it off. So they keep it on, and then when they come back, take it off, give it back to you, and then we know that we have received the specific one back.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sometimes it depends which university, I won't say, but like there's a particular university where there's a lot of South Asian students that go there. And there's some names that are I just don't know. I have no idea. It is literally like, I think it's Malaysia, but they have surnames which are literally just consonants. Like I'm saying like no Y's. It'll be like NGH, and I'm like, how do I say that without sounding like an asshole?
Yeah.
One time, actually, this is another story. Sorry, another one, because this one pissed me off. I gave a gown to a guy who had the name was Owen, right? But it had like an umlaut over the O. And I was just like, how do I go about this? I think he had a Norwegian name. Norwegian surname, or Scandinavian surname anyway. So I looked at it, I was just like, you know what? I think I'll just go for Owen. And I gave him a guy. I looked at it, I was just like, is it Owen? And he just looks at me, he's like, oh, I've never heard it pronounced like that before. But I mean, that was... imagine that, but with a really obnoxious Scandi accent. I've never heard it pronounced like that before. And I'm like, well, how do you pronounce it? And he was like, it's Ewan. And I'm like, well, fucking here you go, Ewan, piss off.
Closed. Aye. It was like, I met a guy when I was interrailing once who was Swedish, and his name was Ocean. He pronounced it like Ozian. So like, we have called him Oz, and then at one point, or he was like, oh yeah, my name's Ozian, and then like wrote it down or gave me his address or something like that, and I just looked at it and was like, your name's Ocean, mate. Like, we have a totally different, like, that's... And again, going back to like your tricky surnames thing, like the Vietnamese surname Nguyen, it took me such a long time to...
That's what it is. It's Vietnamese surnames, it's not Malaysian. Yeah, it's like, Vietnamese surnames. I'm just like, I have no idea. So I end up just showing them the ticket. I'm like, can you just confirm for me that's your name? And
absolutely,
they're just like, yeah, that's me. You know, and then I'm like, that's fine.
The only thing worse than like not pronouncing someone's name at all is pronouncing it incorrectly, I'd say.
You're not old enough to say that, and you know what? You're not old enough to watch the rest of this episode because it's finishing. It's over. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of a segue. Yeah, it's next episode time. Yeah, after talking about bad.
Talking a lot during all of this. Maybe we just don't want it to end, and we're just stalling
it. Oh man, I mean, I'm assuming people are coming here for the chats and also pretty anime girls. So
let's hope so. If you're a diehard Katawa Shoujo fan and you just want to see us get to the end, then sorry, you're just gonna have to put up with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Anyway, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, and we'll see you all next time.
It's time.
Bye.
Bye.
Part-timers, we do this part-time. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe.